ChangeDaChannel, and this is an American moment. Between 1790 and 1830, the population of Georgia increased sixfold. The western push of the settlers created a problem. The people of Georgia continued to take Native Americans' lands and forced them into the frontier. By 1825, the Lower Creek had been completely removed from the state under provisions of the Treaty of the Indian Springs. By 1827, the Creek were gone. Cherokee had long called western Georgia home. The Cherokee Nation continued in their enchanted land until 1828. It was then that there was rumored of gold for which the Soto had relentlessly searched and was discovered in northern Georgia mountains. The Cherokee in 1828 were not nomadic savages. In fact, they had assimilated many European-style customs, including the wearing of gowns of Cherokee women. They built roads, schools, and churches, and had a system of representational government, and were farmers and cattle ranchers. They even had a Cherokee alphabet, the talking leaf, which was perfected by Sequoyah. In 1830, the Congress of the United States passed the Indian Removal Act. Although many Americans were against the act, most notably Tennessee Congressman Davy Crockett, it passed anyway. President Jackson quickly signed the bill into law. The Cherokees attempted to fight removal legally by challenging the removal laws in the Supreme Court and by establishing an independent Cherokee Nation. At first, the court seemed to rule against the Indians. In Cherokee Nation versus Georgia, the court refused to hear the case, extending Georgia's laws on the Cherokee because they did not represent a sovereign nation. In 1832, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Cherokee on the same issue in Worcester versus Georgia. In the case, Chief Justice John Marshall ruled that the Cherokee Nation was sovereign, making the removal laws invalid. The Cherokee would have to agree to the removal in a treaty. The treaty then would have to be ratified by the Senate. By 1835, the Cherokee were divided and despondent. Most supported Principal Chief John Ross, who fought the encroachment of whites starting in the 1832 land lottery. However, a minority, less than 500 of the 17,000 Cherokees in Georgia, followed Major Ridge, who advocated removal. The new treaty signed by Ridge and members of the treaty in 1835 gave Jackson the legal document he needed to remove the first Americans. Ratification of the treaty by the United States Senate sealed the fate of the Cherokee. Among a few who spoke out against the ratification was Daniel Webster and Henry Clay, but it passed by a single vote. In 1838, the United States began the removal of Oklahoma, fulfilling the promise the government made to the Georgia in 1802. Ordered to move on the Cherokee, General John Wool resigned his command in protest, delaying the action. His replacement, General Winfield Scott, arrived on May 17, 1838, with 7,000 men. Early that summer, General Scott and the United States Army began the invasion of the Cherokee Nation. In this episode of An American Moment, men and women and children were taken from their land, herded into the makeshift force with minimal facilities and food, and then forced to march 1,000 miles. Under the generally indifferent Army commanders, human losses for the first group of Cherokees removed were extremely high. John Ross made an urgent appeal to Scott, requesting the general let his people let the tribe go west. General Scott agreed. Ross organized the Cherokee into smaller groups and then let them move separately through the wilderness so that they could forage for food. Although the parties under Ross left in early fall and arrived in Oklahoma during the brutal winter of 1838 and 39, he significantly reduced the losses of life among his people. About 4,000 Cherokee died as a result of the removal. The route they traveled and the journey itself became known as the Trail of Tears, or as direct translation from the Cherokee, the trail where we cried. Ironically, just as the Creeks killed Chief McIntosh for signing the Treaty of Indian Springs, the Cherokee killed Major Ridge for signing the treaty. Chief John Ross, who valiantly resisted the forced removal of the Cherokee, lost his wife in the march. So a country formed 50 years earlier on the premise that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Brutality closed the curtain on the culture that had done no wrong. I'm ChangeDaChannel, and this has been an American Moment, and I'm out.